Thank you, Michaela, and thank you, JES, for inviting me to speak today. I'm super happy to be here. First of all, before I get started, I wanted to ask how many of you have had some sort of engagement with Erie Together over the last 15 years that we've been around, whether that's participating in an action team or a task team or a special project team or supporting it financially or helping to spread the word about the movement or using some of our assets. How many of you have done that?
Yep.
Excellent, great. So it looks like about half. So thank you, truly, because the reason Erie Together is successful and the reason we've been able to sustain this countywide collective impact movement over the course of the last 15 years, and the reason we've been able to make the impact that we have is because of your involvement and the hundreds of other people who have been engaged in this work over the course of the last 15 years. So I want to start by just telling you how I sort of set this up. I want to start by sharing a little bit of information with you about Erie Together's evolution and impact. Then I'm going to show you how collective engagement drives measurable change. So much of what Erie Together does, I would venture to say most of what Erie Together does is grounded in data, and we measure our results and then we communicate those results in the community. So a lot of that is what the success of Erie Together depends on, because we're not just about talk, right? We're about talking about important community issues and then developing plans and implementing those plans. And then the last thing I'm going to do is invite you to join us. So there are all kinds of things that Erie Together is engaged in, and there are all kinds of ways that you can become involved, and we would love to have you be a part of this movement. So starting with our roots and our approach, Erie Together was launched in 2009 in response to a blue ribbon panel report that was produced by a group that was formed by the Erie Community Foundation. And at that time, Erie, the city of Erie in particular, had the highest poverty rate across the state. And the Community Foundation wanted to see, what does that really look like? What does that mean for our community? And what are some things we can do to address that? And so they put together this panel. The panel produced a report in 2007, and the report was called "The High Cost of Poverty, It Affects Us All." And once that report was produced, there were 3 local organizations that said, okay, we want to do something about this. So they started to look across the country and outside the country in Canada, and they made the decision that they wanted to focus on a collective impact approach to address poverty in our region. And once they did that, they hired a national consultant who came in and worked with the community. There were about 750 or so people that provided input into this sort of idea of collective impact and what we would like our community to be. And they developed a mission statement, which I'm going to get to you in a minute. They developed some objectives, and then they put Erie together. It launched initially in neighborhoods in 2009, and then it moved countywide in 2010. And we have spent all of our 15 years as a citizen-driven movement, but for most of those years, we have been an unincorporated movement up until about 2 years ago when we became a formerly incorporated Pennsylvania nonprofit organization, and now we have 501c3 status. With the growth that we've had and the kind of work that we do, it was important for us to be able to do that. So here we are. Having said that, we are still a citizen-driven movement. Our priorities are not driven from the top down. They come from the community. They come from the citizens. We take on the kinds of things that our community says are important. So we use this collective impact approach, which is what you see on the right-hand side of the screen. What we do and the way we identify the kinds of things we are going to focus on is we convene citizens and cross-sector stakeholders. We define what are the top challenges and priorities in our region. We put plans in place to address them, and then we execute those plans. We execute those plans by aligning people and expertise and resources and attention to address the kinds of things that our community feels are important. So this is all about collaboration, cross-sector, citizen engagement to address the kinds of things that we need to focus on here. Once we take on an initiative or a challenge or a priority, we do the work, we evaluate the results. If we've accomplished our task, great, we move on to the next thing. If not, we adjust, we continue working until we get there. And then we also do a lot of communication across the community to help people understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, how they can get engaged, and what the impact is. So this is a really nice opportunity for us to be able to talk to you a little bit about that. So Erie Together's model, simplified, looks like this. If you think about that target in the middle as what the kinds of things are that Erie Together is trying to accomplish as a community, that's our target, whether it be early childhood readiness or career exploration or, whatever kind of challenge we're trying to address. And you think about all of those boxes on the outside of the arrow as really good organizations doing things really well within their separate, I'm going to use the word silos, not negatively, but within their separate environment. What Erie Together does is it brings everybody together, aligns the efforts, the expertise, and the resources to collectively address those challenges and priorities. So I told you we had the national consultant come in and work with all of the citizens about, what we want to be as a community if we're going to successfully address poverty. And we developed this mission, which is working together to make the Erie region a community of opportunity where everyone can learn, work, and thrive. And learn, work, and thrive are really the key words here. And everything Erie Together does is somewhere tied to one of those learn, work, or thrive buckets. So with respect to learn, our primary objective is we want more kids to grow up to be successful adults. With respect to work, we want more individuals to secure and maintain family-sustaining employment. And with respect to thrive, we want more families to become self-sufficient or to be able to meet their basic needs. So the initiatives that we take on are tied to one or more of those objectives, and there's a lot of overflow between the learn, work, and thrive pieces. So this is a very strategic approach, and this is how we make decisions about what we move forward with. So today I'm only going to talk to you about a few initiatives because we've been around for 15 years now. We've done a lot of things. I'm going to speak to you about these particular pieces, some of which are currently in action, things that we're working on right now, some of which have been completed, but their impact lives on, and some of which we are just getting into, so we're real early on. So I can share with you goals and objectives and the kinds of things we're trying to accomplish, invite you to participate, but just understand that we're not there, and I'm not in any position at this point to be able to share any data on impact with you. But I'm going to start with the first piece of it, which is that learn, right? So you can see the things that I have listed on this table as our learn initiatives. One is kindergarten readiness, career exploration and pathways is the second, civic engagement is the third, profile of a graduate is the fourth I'm going to talk with you about, and then improving youth social skills is the fifth. These are all things that we are engaged in now that I want to talk to you about. With respect to work, we're focused on addressing transportation barriers. I have this in work because this came to the table from the community at the start because people were very concerned about making sure that individuals were able to get to and from work, and there weren't enough options for that. So there were a lot of people that were being kept out of the workforce because they couldn't get to and from work. The second piece is a new project that I'm going to talk to you about, which is our Erie County Human Services Cohorts Initiative. And then under Thrive, I'm going to talk to you about the Erie County Reentry Services and Support Alliance. This project is one that Erie Together was engaged in with about 40 stakeholders. Some of them are in the room today. I'm so happy to see you. It's been a long time. Now has then, once we developed the strategy that I'll tell you about, we then moved that program out because Erie Together typically didn't run programs. And so that program is now run by another organization, and we have some great data to share with you there. I'll talk to you a little bit about work we've done in domestic violence, and then the last thing I'll mention is expanding seats at various tables. So let's start with kindergarten readiness. So our focus on kindergarten readiness really began back in 2011 when the data showed that kids were coming to kindergarten and they weren't ready to learn. They didn't know their letters, they didn't know their numbers, they didn't know their colors. That was really important because kids that come into kindergarten not ready to learn are typically behind their other classmates, and it's harder for them to keep up with their lessons. It's harder for them to form friendships. It's harder for them to be self-confident. And if they start out behind, they typically stay behind. And if they don't perform and learn it at a rate that they can be proficient in reading when they hit third grade, that's also a problem. Because when you're going in up to third grade, you're learning to read, but once you hit third grade, you're really reading to learn. So if you can't read once you hit third grade, chances are you're going to be behind the whole way through. So that's why Erie Together made the decision to focus on kindergarten readiness. This was really early on in our evolution, and it was really the first time that we were bringing together school districts with other early childhood providers and citizens to create resources that could be used in the community. So it was the first time we really had a chance to test out this collective impact approach. First thing we did was we developed a common definition of kindergarten readiness, and every school district in Erie County endorsed that common definition. That was really important because that showed that the school districts could collaborate and could all agree on something. I'm not trying to be negative, but that was a new concept, right? And it also gave us something to build a foundation on so we could create additional resources for families and children to benefit from. So we did that. We developed the definition of kindergarten readiness, and then we did a kindergarten readiness checklist, a progress chart, an activity book for families, and a kindergarten registration flyer. And here's what those things look like. And we distributed these in the thousands across the county. We did public events. We worked with the school districts. We worked with the early childhood providers. We went to country fairs and sat in the parking lot, and we got these kits and this information out, and we collected data both from a preparedness perspective for kids before they started using the kits, and then after they used the kits. And I just went back and looked at the data because the last we were engaged in this was 2016, 2017. Went back and looked at the data, and what I saw was that these kits were being used, increasing the focus of families on these kindergarten readiness skills. And our data in 2016 alone, and that doesn't include all the prior years, showed that kids were improving on average in 6 kindergarten readiness skills. So that was all great. These kits were working, and families were using them, and families were happy to have them. In 2017, another organization in the community assumed responsibility for updating and distributing these kits, and they since dropped that. So now there has been a lag here in terms of the availability of these resources. And so this priority has now come back to Erie Together for us to take on. So we have a team of experts in place. They are updating all of these materials with current information and to align with the new early learning standards that came out of the state in 2014. And we're going to start releasing these again. So we're really happy about that. We're really happy to have the professionals at the table. And again, we couldn't do this without involvement of others in the community who have the expertise and the wherewithal and the willingness to donate their time to do this work. So these will be released in the community as we get them finished, and we're excited to make them available again. The next thing that we knew was really important in the learn area for kids to grow up to be successful adults is career exploration and providing pathways for them for life after high school. And we got engaged in this back in 2012. We set an arbitrary goal back then. And again, we made it up. We didn't have any guidance. Remember, Lee? We didn't have any guidance about what this should look like, but we said by the end of 8th grade, kids should have 3 or more career exploration experiences. So, okay, great. So we needed to understand then what percentage of kids did have 3 or more career exploration experiences by the end of 8th grade, so we had some sort of baseline. And we surveyed all Erie County 8th graders. There were about 3,000 8th graders at that time. We got 2,000 responses back, again, because of our relationship with the schools who pushed these surveys out. What we learned at that time was that only 12.7% of kids had 3 or more career exploration experiences, and there were nearly half of those kids reporting that they had had none. So we knew we had a lot of work to do. Our first step was the development of Career Street, which is a web-based platform that matches employers with educators to provide career exploration experiences. The reason we went with the Career Street web-based platform first is because employers were saying to us, kids are coming out of school, they're not prepared for the kinds of positions that we have available for them, and they're not prepared for the general work environment. The educators were telling us, we really want to better prepare kids for life after high school, but we can't connect with employers, we can't get them engaged. We knew there was something we could do about that. The employers were telling us, we're willing to do it, but you have to make it easy for us. And so give us a menu of options. And so we did, and we created the Career Street platform. Jennifer Ponzer is here today. She is the Career Street director. She is the first and only Career Street director we ever brought on board. She's been here since 2014. Since we started, the platform now houses more than 570 experiences and informational resources. We have over 300 employers registered on the site, and Career Street has facilitated over 57,000 student experiences. That number is mind-boggling even to me. And that number and those experiences have been made possible, again, because of the collaboration of employers with educators and the ability to develop and launch this platform in the community. Just want to show you what it looks like here. These are some screenshots from the Career Street platform. You will see that all different types of industries are included on this platform and all different types of experiences, whether that be a career speaker or a job shadow or an internship or an employer tour. The whole gamut is listed on this site. And employers register and indicate which kinds of experiences they're willing to offer, and then educators find those experiences and make them available for their students. We also develop a whole series of informational resources that teachers and schools can use in the classroom and in their extracurricular offerings to help provide these experiences and this information career related to kids. We have a whole suite of probably 200 plus videos on the Career Street website that highlight industry locally and employers locally and jobs that we have available here. We have in the bottom left here a template that we use that describes how experiences should be carried out depending on the type of experience, whether it be a tour or again a job shadow, mock interview, anything like that. So we help students and schools and employers understand what they should do to make those experiences great. And what that does is it provides consistency across the county, no matter what district you're in. If you utilize these templates, you're going to be providing the same high quality experience to the students. We release weekly during the school year a Career Street Roadmap, which is a local interview of somebody in the community who is doing a job that we have here to help students understand what's required, what their path to their career was, et cetera, and teachers can use those in the classroom. And then we have a flyer over here on the right that reflects the kinds of high priority occupations that we have in the region and across the state of Pennsylvania that reflects what type of education is required, how much they can expect to earn if they're just coming in as an entry-level person, and what kind of schooling they need. So those are the types of resources that we release. We then took it a step further in 2016. Our community's focus turned to career pathways. This happened because one of the local school districts and the Erie County Technical School administrator brought a guy to the community named Hans Meter, and he was the head of this organization called the National Center for College and Career Transitions. He had been doing a lot of work across the state and across the country, helping communities understand what career pathways systems can do for them. And he came in and he presented to our community. All of these community groups were there. There were a ton of people there, along with all the school districts and a lot of community economic development organizations, workforce development organizations, et cetera. At the end of his presentation, when he went through the opportunity and what it means for communities and economies and schools and students and families, he asked the community, do you want to pursue developing a countywide career pathway system here? They said yes. They turned to me and said, because of Erie Together's relationship with schools and your collective impact approach, would you be willing to lead this? We said yes. And so that's how we got into the career pathways ballgame. This is what our Erie County Career Pathways Alliance looks like. We have most Erie County school districts engaged. We have all 3 high school level career and technical centers engaged. We have all 6 of the major colleges and universities that have a presence in Erie County engaged. On the right, you can see all the community partners that we have at the table. And then down the middle, you'll see the 5 industry advisory groups that we have. These industry advisory groups are in place, bringing employers together with educators and workforce developers all at the same time, right, within the industry advisory group, so that they can advise school districts and workforce developers about skills needed in the industry, how to best connect students in the workplace, the jobs that are in most demand within their industry. And they can give that message all at the same time. You know, oftentimes before this was in place, these employers were getting multiple calls from multiple districts with the same sort of question, and this really streamlines that process. And when you have that cross-sector approach in place, there's so much creativity that can come out with respect to what can we best do together to prepare kids for the jobs that we have in the region. And from my perspective, this is the longest standing, most productive cross-sector collaboration focused specifically on preparing kids for the workforce that our community has seen. And we have become a model for the state and elsewhere across the country. We do a lot of speaking outside of the community about the kind of work that we're doing, and I'm going to share with you some of the results that we've been able to see based on this cross-sector collaboration. First thing I want to tell you about is our work around the skilled trades. We've been at this skilled trades work for about 3 years now. We knew intuitively that it was very hard to find information about skilled trades opportunities. We also knew that these careers are very good, well-paying careers. They provide a great opportunity for individuals to support themselves and their families. And there was no easy way to find out information in a streamlined way about how you can learn about these jobs, how you can access these jobs, what they pay, what kind of education is required, how do you apply, et cetera, et cetera. So we took this on, and we first developed a comprehensive skilled trades directory to push the information out into the community, to students, to schools, to families, to just help them understand, first of all, what skilled trades opportunities are in the region. What are the requirements for those? What can you make coming in? Is there anything that precludes you from getting those jobs? And how do I apply? So that was the first thing we did. Then we started doing a series of employer tours. So we did a number of tours with the skilled trades union training centers, bringing kids into those facilities to help them really see what that looks like and what the requirements of the job were. We also did a series of skilled trade employer panels where we had multiple skilled trades represented. We invited all the school districts to participate, and then we filmed those so that they're available to the school districts afterwards. And we've done a number of additional things that you'll see here. So all in all, we impacted over 400 kids over the last couple of years, and we engaged many educators along the way. We surveyed these kids in terms of the impact on them, and they all have indicated that these have really helped them understand what the skilled trades opportunities are, help them refine their interests, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to move into the next one to show you a specific event that we just held recently. So in March, we did a skilled trades fair for middle school students, and we had 119 students there from 7 schools, and we had 7 skilled trades unions represented. And again, the data at the bottom here shows that 100% of those kids increased their knowledge of skilled trade careers, 99% increased their knowledge of skilled trade job opportunities, 95%, I think it was one kid, said that they gained a better idea of their interest in pursuing skilled trades jobs, and 96% said the experience was helpful as they consider their future careers. So almost all of the young people who participate in these things are having an experience that will allow them to make better decisions about their future. And that's what we're trying to accomplish whenever we're doing this career exploration work. It's about helping them understand what they like and helping them understand what they don't like. The one thing that I didn't mention that we incorporated as part of the skilled trades work is we were able to do a series of commercial spots that we ran with WJET and on Fox that we targeted families who were like, we targeted the parents of the children that we knew were in school, right? So we targeted that age group. We targeted those people also who we knew are of working age that may be interested in pursuing these kinds of opportunities. And we had some pretty good success in terms of the visibility of this. And we were able to extend that for a couple of months afterwards. And what that did and what we're seeing is a dramatic increase in interest in the skilled trades efforts that we're pushing out through our website, so that we know that this stuff is gaining traction here, which is really good. Another big piece of what we're doing is tied to manufacturing, and manufacturing obviously is a key driver in the community. And we, in addition to our regular kinds of career exploration activities, the work site tours, the career speakers, the job shadows, and things like that, we were able to bring Penn College of Technology into the community to introduce an advanced manufacturing pre-apprenticeship opportunity. This was the first time that we did it. We had 11 students engaged, 8 from Union City Area School District, and then another 3 from Northeast School District. These kids went through a 4-month program starting in January of 2025. They took part in 27 online learning modules. They took part in 3 local in-person hands-on labs. They participated in our May 1st job fair, where they were able to talk to employers about what they learned and their future career interests. And then they were participating in preparation to sit for the Certified Manufacturing Associate Industry Certificate. So again, lots of work tied to job opportunities afterwards to help these kids, have a path for employment beyond high school. Another thing I want to mention to you, because we are about to launch this again in the coming year, actually this fall, is our multi-district industry club. And this was a pilot that consisted of 5 elements. We did a career pathways overview session with them. We did some college tours, employer tours, job shadows, and then we offered them a 40-hour internship that they completed. We only had 5 kids in this pilot, and that was by design because we were trying to test the concept and see if it worked. And what we learned here here was that of all of the work that they did and all of the things that they participated in, 100% of those kids increased their awareness in local careers and solidified their career aspirations. 80% of them increased their awareness in at least one career pathways, and 80% changed their career choice based on their participation in this program. Finally, 40% of these kids received job offers. One of these kids is still working for the company that he received a job offer from, and he's going to school to get his degree in engineering. So this was a really successful pilot, and we are going to now launch it in the fall with some funding support that we received from Erie County government and Erie Insurance, so that we can impact more kids and give them more of the similar experiences. And then finally, I just want to show you this. This is an example of the work of one of our industry advisory groups. The last group that we launched was our Arts and Communication Advisory Group. We provide them with a series of tours and other opportunities here, and you can see the data below. Again, all very similar. So the point, I guess, in showing you these kinds of things is that this work is really important, and the participation of employers and educators in providing these experiences for kids is really helping shape the future workforce. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk to you then about is civic engagement, a third pillar that we knew was important for kids to be prepared for life after high school. Every year since, well, we're in our 10th year now, so whatever that is, 10 years ago, 2015, we have been offering a youth civic engagement symposium for kids. And we make this available to all school districts across Erie County. We have a limit of 150 kids because of capacity and the way we have the thing structured. Every year for the last 7 or 8 years, these spots have been spoken for within hours of the time that we publish this event. So again, we know this is a great event. It's working. It's valued. You can see the lineup here in terms of the kinds of people who participate. What we're doing here is we are providing students with exposure to elected and appointed officials at the federal, state, local, and county level, representing the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government. And we are allowing them to hear from panels and to ask their questions and to visit each of the different facilities where these governments are housed, whether that be City Hall, whether that be the county courthouse, the federal courthouse, and then we do a panel at Gannon University. Our partner over the last 10 years has been Gannon University. We also, for many years, had Senator Toomey's office as a partner as well. This is so well received. The kids love this. The schools love this. This year, when I put it out, within 45 minutes, all the slots were spoken for. We are 81 students over capacity. So it's a great opportunity. We got to figure that out, but it's a great opportunity. Anybody who participated in that want to mention? I know. Go ahead. Oh, you don't have, yeah, okay. All right. Do you want to say anything, Mayor, real quick before we? Nope. Okay, we're good. Yep. So great lineup, similar lineup this year, all good. Okay, the final thing I want to talk to you about and learn is our profile of a graduate. This is something that we put together working with over 200 stakeholders in this community. We released it in 2023. This lists all of the skills and attributes that our community believes are important for a young person to be successful in life after high school. It's broken into 6 buckets: academically ready, life ready, civic minded, workplace ready, future focused, and financially savvy, with characteristics under each of those. This is all about helping kids and families understand what it means for being ready for life after high school, for your career, for college, for your life in general. And it's also about helping school districts integrate into their curriculum and course offering and extracurriculars additional ways to build these skills. we are now taking that to the next level. And what we've done is develop an activity book for parents and caregivers and community-based organizations that work with kids to also support the development of those skills in young people. This book is going to be released at the end of this month. It includes a pre and post test and 15 activities, which are made up of an instruction sheet, a worksheet for the student to complete, next steps for further practice, and then an answer key for the facilitators who are doing it who may not know the answers. I proofed the book. I didn't know the answers, so I made the consultant go back and put in an answer key. So that work is underway. That'll be done at the end of August. Schools are already using the profile of a graduate in various ways within their four walls, but we think that the impact of this can be exponentially better and stronger if we can also get the community engaged. So if you can think of any ways within your personal and professional circles to use this book, we would be happy to give it to you. And we're going to make it available electronically. You can share it broadly so that families that you might be working with can also access it. The last thing I want to mention is we know that it's important for young people to have strong social skills, and we have learned through observation and in other ways that social skills are things that kids are struggling with now. COVID did not help that. So we are looking at how to improve youth social skills, have a couple of different strategies here. One is to increase youth participation in group programs and activities, and a second one is to help kids focus on really being able to display eye contact, manners, respectfulness, etc. So we're doing this by promoting community programming here and also facilitating increased connections in schools. One of the things that we came across that we're really promoting, and I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't, you should take a look at it, is Macaroni Kid Erie, which is a collection of all kinds of information that's taking place in the community that's really valuable for pro-social young person involvement. Okay, I'm going to move into work a little bit now. Mention transportation to you. We were engaged in transportation years ago. We all know transportation is a huge challenge in this community. We are now back at looking at transportation barriers here. We are just starting this work, so I don't have any data to tell you about. I don't have any real substance here other than to tell you this is what our focus is going to look like. Our goal here is to have an informed community with access to sufficient and affordable public transportation options. Our strategy is to define transportation gaps, help develop an actionable plan to address them, and then work with community stakeholders to implement the plan. We're starting with a focus on EMTA, and EMTA can use additional help in getting information out about how to use their services and also why their services should be used and what the ridership options are for people. We are going to be helping them with that, and we bring a lot of community partner organizations to the table, so we're going to be engaging our community partners to help reach those target audiences well. We're going to be focusing on their app. EMTA has an app that is a little bit hard to find and not as intuitive as maybe it could be or whatever. We're going to help high school students understand how to use that app so we can try to help them increase their ridership. We are also promoting transportation careers through our Career Street program, and we're going to support EMTA as they undergo their transportation development planning so that, again, they can get citizen input that they might not be able to necessarily garner on their own. This is a new project in our work arena that is really exciting to us, and we are just launching it. We just started working on that this month, and this is the Erie County Human Services Cohorts Initiative. And Erie Together was provided an opportunity to work on this project because of the work that we're doing around workforce development, primarily focused on high school students, but the concepts transfer into that adult audience too. This is a project partnership with Erie County Department of Human Services, and the purpose is to grow and retain the workforce for a number of local agencies who are addressing mental health, substance use, and the social determinants of health. And we are working with local stakeholders to do a couple of things. Number one, we're going to recruit 15 individuals to participate in 3 cohorts. So we're going to have 45 total individuals that go through this program. They're going to receive some supplemental training in addition to what they got through school, things that will help them be better on their job that maybe isn't taught at the college and university level. And then we're going to place them in high priority occupations that have been identified as ones that are hard to fill, but that are essential to provide good quality services in the community. So we're real excited about this. Just started, have the project plan in place, and we're starting to work the plan now. The first cohort will go into effect in January of 2026. Now, here's another initiative that I want to talk to you about, and I'm going to actually call on for some audience participation from the leader of this program now. But from 2013 to 2016, Erie Together worked with nearly 40 stakeholders to develop a transitioning client reentry strategy. Exactly. Transitioning clients are people that are coming back to the community from federal, state, and county correctional facilities, and also people who are have been identified as people who may be engaged with gang violence here locally. And so the strategy that we developed addressed all different types of things. It was all about trying to keep downward pressure on reoffenses, so recidivism, and to provide people with the supports that they need so that they can reintegrate back to the community and they can become productive members of our local communities. We spent 3 years developing the foundational strategy that led to the creation of the Erie County Reentry Services and Support Alliance. And it had specific recommendations addressing education, employment, transportation, housing, and other top challenges that our group of 40 stakeholders identified were most significant for these populations coming back to the community. What we found is that based on this work, there have been millions of dollars over the course of the last several years saved by providing these services for individuals and keeping them out of jail. And we have some really good data here that the Erie County Reentry Services and Support Alliance provided to me that you can see here. This is based on 396 clients. You can see that 384 of those found a job. I mean, that is very significant. They were helped with mental health resources, drug and alcohol resources. They got a PCP, education and training, all of these kinds of things that were identified as challenges. This is the data that has come out of this. Again, we developed the strategy working with the stakeholders. We gave the program to another organization to run. The program is now being run out of the Y. Jake Kelton is here. He is the director of the program. Jake, if you could just take a minute and talk about the impact that you see from the clients based on the availability of this program, that would be super helpful.
Hi, my name is Jake Kelton. Thank you, Mary. Yeah. Our program right now has changed a little bit. We are servicing more people than ever. That number is actually probably going to almost double in the next year. We do help those people coming out of incarceration. And you'd be surprised, a lot of people might think, well, why are we helping people coming out of jail? They're just convicts. Well, if you make people destitute and desperate, they do desperate things. And you'd be surprised, 2 different things I would tell you about the workforce is, one, a lot of these people who have done 5 or 10 years in a state prison, they come out with a work ethic that we are currently lacking in the community right now. They are staying with their employers. Currently, we have 32 people at Don John Shipbuilding. from our program, and they are doing great, and they're staying there. McShane Welding currently has 18 people there, and I could go on all day long about these numbers, but we vet them hard. We find out exactly what they're good at, what their skill levels are, and so forth, and we connect them with good employers. The employers in this area are really benefiting from this program in that way. Now, one demographic we don't talk about up here so much is youth who maybe don't see the opportunities which are around them, and they might turn towards a life of criminal activity or just something that's not exactly positive. We are helping them come to the table and say, listen, there's opportunity out here. Let us help you kind of navigate that. The program is so effective right now that we're currently having domestic relation people who fall behind in child support. They're coming to our office now, and we're placing them in jobs. So we're very effective at what we're doing in the community. You may not think of how important this is, but this is very important. And we are placing more than 86% to our jobs, and they're staying there.
Great stuff, right? It would not have been possible if we didn't have the active commitment and engagement of the people who came to the table to help develop this strategy, and effective people within the program that are able to run it and run it well, to be able to make sure that the kind of impact this program is supposed to have will have. So again, thanks to all of you in the room who have been part of that. We're happy to see the progress here, and we hope this progress can continue. Go ahead, Paul. Jake, can you give Paul the mic?
No.
He's going to need it, yeah.
Well, probably that. Is it on? Yes, it's on. Where are the what?
I think on the bottom.
I just wanted to mention about the work Jake's doing. He doesn't know me,
Okay.
but Amy and Patty, Mary, you know, when we started this project those many years ago,
Yeah.
with all those meetings, and just the effect. I looked at your statistic saying 396. I'm sure we've impacted much, much more. Best thing that ever happened to that program was the hiring of this gentleman now. Tell you, he doesn't know me, but I know him in that project.
I've been in this.
Yeah. But, you know, that was my baby. You know, I spent 12 years at federal probation. I was hired in 2009, a month after the Second Chance Act was passed by President Obama. And I'm still following it. I was at your office this morning, met with Mark. Only thing I don't like about it, terrible location. You know, where you got to go through a sheriff's, you know, guy from the Erie County Sheriff's, through security, through that. That's not conducive for someone that needs help. You know, I've had too many, you know that. I mean, he already knows that. I don't know why they moved out of the Y, but I guess that's another story. But it's so important to support Mary and her work that's doing. We are making progress. We are making progress from our communities, from our neighborhoods, all the way through school, and then providing support for programs such as ECRSSA. So I just wanted to put that pitch in. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Briefly, very similar process focused on domestic violence was something else that we undertook. Went through a very similar exercise over 3 years that we did with the Erie County Reentry Services and Support Alliance group. We drafted a strategy, turned it over to the group in 2022. We have implemented portions of that strategy over time. Our current focus now is specifically related to healthcare recommendations that came out of the Domestic Violence Action Alliance, addressing challenges related to lack of consistency in domestic violence screening and coding and discharge in the hospital and non-hospital settings, promoting a greater understanding of LGBTQ plus issues related to domestic violence and how the healthcare system is addressing patients that come in with those issues. And the way we're handling this is we are first doing an environmental scan, working with a Philadelphia-based consultant, looking at what are the best practices in Pennsylvania related to all of these types of issues? And then we're bringing this back to our local committee to help them think through what can be done locally to strengthen these processes with respect to domestic violence based on the historic success of other places in Pennsylvania. So that's where we are with domestic violence. The last, I think, initiative that I'm going to talk to you about is related to expanding seats at various tables. That's from our perspective, so important. We've seen it over and over again through Erie Together. The more people that you have engaged in this movement and bringing their expertise to the table and their perspective, talking about what the real needs are, the greater success that we've been able to see. And we think there are opportunities across the community for other initiatives to expand seats at their tables as well. So we want to essentially make sure that people who should and could have a voice in various initiatives do, so that they can provide their experience to that from both a need perspective and an impact perspective. Our strategy is to start with Erie Together teams to be more inclusive, and then we're going to be working with other community initiatives that are in a position to expand and ask them to do the same. So that leads me to our ask to you. We would love to have your involvement in Erie Together's work. Our engagement principles are here. We're very broad. We're very inclusive. We are very focused on turning conversation into action. It's not about planning. It's not about sitting around and talking alone. It's about taking what we learn through these conversations, doing something with it that can make an impact. And then we're accountable and we measure our results. Here's how you could get involved. If you're interested, you could join one of our task teams. You could partner with us on projects where you see logical connections with the personal and professional things that you're involved in. You can always provide your expertise and your resources to support our work. You can use our assets within your circles, and any help you can give to help spread the word about Erie Together and the work we're doing to help us grow our engagement and support would be really welcome. And that's it. So what questions or comments do you have for me?
Hello, Danielle Randall. I'm the founder and executive director of Future Focused Academy here in Erie. Do you, when we're talking learn into work, as we're transitioning them out of school and into the workforce, do you look at programming after high school